You know how you act one way with your friends, but then you're a totally different person at a family dinner? Well, that question is right at the heart of sociology, the science of our incredibly complex social world.
Yeah, it's a question we've all probably asked ourselves, right? Why do we switch it up depending on who we're with? Well, that one fundamental mystery, the fact that we act so differently in a group than we do when we're alone, that's exactly what sparked a whole new field of study.
You see, for most of human history, society was something for philosophers and thinkers to talk about. But it wasn't really a science. Not yet, anyway.
People had been analyzing society for centuries, for sure, but a huge new question started to bubble up. Could we go beyond just thinking about it and actually study our social world with scientific rigor? The stage was totally set for something brand new.
And that brings us to the guy who would not only give this new field its name, but also give it its huge, ambitious mission. So, let's talk about Auguste Comte. Back in the early 1800s, he was the one who really argued for a new, systematic science, one totally dedicated to figuring out how society works. And yeah, he's the one who gave it its name.
And the name he came up with? Sociology. Its origin is actually pretty cool. Comte kind of mashed two words together. He took socius, that's Latin for a companion, and smashed it together with logos, which is Greek for the study of. So he was literally mixing two ancient languages to create something completely new.
And get this, at first, Comte himself wasn't even totally sold on his own hybrid word, but he pretty quickly realized that, you know what, this mix is actually its biggest strength. He figured this new science could get all the benefits from both of those classic disciplines.
And Comte's goal, it was huge. He basically wanted to do for the study of society what modern chemistry did for alchemy. He wanted to take it from this world of just guesswork and speculation and turn it into a legit, powerful science.
So, Comte really got the ball rolling, but he wasn't flying solo for long. Pretty soon, other brilliant thinkers jumped in, and they all had their own ideas about what this new science of society should really be about. Take the great Max Weber, for example. For him, sociology was the science of social action. He said, it's not enough to just watch what people do. No, you have to dig deeper and understand the meaning behind what they do and what happens because of it. Then you have Emil Durkheim. He came at it from a slightly different angle. He saw sociology as the study of social facts. Think of these as powerful forces outside of us, things like laws, morals, customs. They're created by our institutions, and they end up shaping pretty much everything we do. And then others, like MacIver and Page, boiled it down even more. They said, look, sociology is really just the study of social relationships, that invisible but super powerful web of connections that we call society. Okay, so we've got all these different definitions flying around. How do we make sense of it all? Well, let's go back to Comte for a second, because he gave us a really simple but powerful way to look at society by looking at what holds it together versus what makes it change. He basically split the whole thing into two parts. On one hand, you've got social statics. Think of this as the blueprint of a society. It's all about the major institutions, family, state, the economy, and how they all connect to create order. Then, on the other hand, you have social dynamics. This is more like the story of that society. It's about how all those parts evolve and change over time.
So even though these founders had slightly different definitions, you can see they were all basically climbing the same mountain, right? They were all on the same fundamental mission, trying to answer the same core questions about how our world works.
And you can kind of break down that shared mission into 4 steps. Step 1, you analyze the big stuff, the institutions, from the family all the way up to the state. Step 2, you figure out how all those pieces are connected. They don't exist in a vacuum, right? Step 3 is super important. You have to explain why society itself is its own unique thing we're studying. And finally, step 4, you zoom all the way in to focus on the real building blocks, our individual social acts and social relationships.
So, where did this big quest actually lead? Did it just become a dusty old idea? No way. It directly built the map for the diverse and, frankly, essential field of sociology we have today.
Here's a good way to think about it. All those big questions the founders were asking, they basically became the chapter titles in the textbook of modern sociology. Their work laid the foundation, establishing all the core issues and specialties that sociologists study right now.
And what came out of that is this incredibly rich and diverse field. You've got everything from big-picture sociological theory and methodology to super specific areas like the family, kinship, and marriage, or social control and deviance, ethnic relations, social class, you name it. All of these modern fields grew from the seeds that those early pioneers planted. So that's really the whole story. What started out as this kind of philosophical quest, just trying to figure out why we act the way we do in groups, has grown into this powerful scientific toolkit that we can use to analyze pretty much any part of our social lives.
So now you know about the tools sociologists use to understand the world. It really is a powerful toolkit. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What part of your society, your workplace, your online community, maybe even your own family, what would you put under the microscope first?